It's part 5 of our Game Lab tutorial. In this video, we're going to finish all the functionality for our coin so that it behaves exactly how we want. It'll move to a new location when we pick it up, and we're going to be able to see on the screen how many coins we have collected so far. So the challenge I left you was to actually make it so that when we do touch the coin, it's going to move to a new random position on the screen. Let's take a look at the code we used originally to make the coin appear in a random place. Remember, when we created our variable and we create the sprite, we have to assign where on the screen the sprite is going to be. So we use the random number functions, which generates a random number between the two values we set, and we use that for the X position and the Y position. So every time we push run, it's going to show up in a new place. So we want to do basically the same thing within our collect coin function. If the player is touching our coin, along with adding to our coin count, we also want to change the position of the coin to something new. So we need to modify the coin's X position and the Y position. So within the sprites folder, we're going to take our sprite.x property. And again, we need to change this to match our variable name, which was coin. So our coin.x is going to equal something. What do we want to change it to? We want it to be a random number. So within math, we're going to take our random number, where we can set the minimum and maximum. And what did we originally say? We said between 15 and 385. So let's keep the same numbers. So 15 and 385 on the y. So that'll set our x coordinate. Now we need to do the same thing with the y coordinate. So back to sprites. This time we need to drag our sprite.y. Let's drag that right underneath. Change the name to coin. And again, we're going to need that random number from 15 to 385. Okay, let's give this a try. Here we go. Oh, it moved! And as you saw, our debug console, as this is called, popped up and showed us our 1. Remember, our 1 is from this function here, console.log, meaning show on the screen in our console something that's not going to be seen when players actually play the game, just so that we can help develop the game better. It'll show us our coin counts. We're at 1, and our coin moved to a new position. 2, 3. Again, every time we touch it, it's moving somewhere else, so our function is working perfectly right now. And again, as you can see, our coin count keeps increasing. Boom. Perfect job. Before I go any further, though, let's just add a quick comment in here. Good coding practice. Show comments. So let's say move coin to new random location. All right. Let's go ahead and now remix so we can start our part 5. Rename. Dodge game part 5. Okay, and save. So our next challenge is we want to make it so that on the screen our player can actually see how many coins they've collected. So we're going to be using some functions that come in our drawing folder, toolbox, whatever you want to call this. And in particular, we're going to be using text a lot. I just want to bring up the example so you can see how this works, because there's a couple parameters this takes. Remember, parameters mean whenever we have a function, within the parentheses, values that we're supposed to enter. That's why the parentheses are there. So you see it says str, xy, x2, y2. So what this means, the big important one is str, which stands for string. This means basically what is the text that this text function is going to display. Then the x and y stand for where on the screen is our text that we make going to start. Now, if we want, we could also set the x2 and y2, which basically makes if x and y creates the top left corner of our text, x2 and y2 would make the bottom right corner of the text. So that way we can kind of automatically size it where we want. We're not going to play with this today. If you want to try this, I encourage you to give it a shot on your own. But we're going to do it the slightly more simple way where we're going to add our text size function as well to give it a size we want. So let's go ahead and move some of these functions we need into our draw loop. We're going to want to be constantly updating this value every time we collect a coin, so we might as well put all of this inside our draw function. So before we actually make our text, let's add a text size function. So I'm going to take this and let's put this right here. Text size. Let's start by size 28. Let's also add a font. So I'm going to grab the text font, put that in next. I'm going to leave this for with Arial for now. There are different fonts you could choose. Let's just keep it simple. Arial. Now let's actually add our text. So we're going to take the, where'd it go? Text. And let's put that in next. Now the first thing I wanted to say is coins equals. So this is going to print out or say on the screen our coins equals, and then we'll be able to add our number after that. Now I've already gone through and figured out a good position for this. We're going to go with 250 on the X value and 380 on the Y value. So let's just test this to see. Yep, that's a pretty good spot. Let's see. Uh-oh. Our player is running over our coin count. That might be, kind of cool, I guess. Probably a little bit sloppy and distracting, though. I think it's better if our coin count is actually on top. In a perfect world, we could sort of alter the actual space that our player could move and maybe have them stop right about here. We could put like a black bar down here, so it kind of makes a little, scoreboard area at the bottom. That's something you could do to make this look a little bit nicer. But let's just fix this problem, letting our player move all the way down here. But let's make it so our coins will show up above that. So if we look in the draw loop again, the order that we have these functions matters when it comes to what we see on the screen. Whatever is put in first will get put on the screen first. And then whatever comes second will be put in on top of what's already there. So as you can see, what's happening is we're creating our text before we call draw sprites, which is when it actually will draw our player sprite. So that's why, since our player sprite will come in later, it's on top of our text. So simply, if we just move draw sprites up to here, and I reset this and run it, now our player is behind it. So to me, this just looks a little bit nicer this way. So we'll leave it like that. Okay, now comes the slightly more complicated part. We want to display our variable coin count represented as a number on the screen. And remember, we were able to do this in our debug console. Whenever we picked up a coin, again, it pops up and shows us the number of coins. So how can we take this, where we're getting our number of coins, and turn it into something that's actually a part of the game? We kind of have to do a little magic for this. First, let's take another text block and let's put it in here. I'm not going to fill in the actual text yet. This is going to be changing every time we collect a coin, so we have to do something else here. But for the position, let's set this to 360 on the X, and again, 380 on the Y. So if I just test this, it pops up there. This, I think, will be okay, though, once we change it to our number. So how do we change it to the number? Well, there's a cool trick we can do if we switch to show text. Let's highlight and select the word text right here, including the quotation marks. And we're going to get rid of that, just delete it. Now we're going to put in the name of the variable that tells us how many coins we have, which is coin count. Now the computer is in this case smart enough to figure out that coin count, the variable coin count, is holding a number, and it could just show us that number on the screen. So when I go back to show blocks, now there's no quotation marks, it just says coin count. And when we run it, look at this. It shows us a 0 right there. And collect a coin, we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 4, and so on. Now that I see this again, maybe this position isn't quite good. We should maybe move coin equals a little further over. So maybe instead of 250, let's start it at 280, not 2800, 280. Nope, too far. Let's try 270. Still not good. 260. Oh, that didn't change it. That's why. 270. Run. I'm going to do 265. Again, when you choose these values, really it just comes down to trial and error. Try something, test it. If you don't like it, try something else until you do like it. Okay. And as always, let's put in a comment so we can stay organized. So below this, we're going to say show the number of coins collected. That's what all this code will do. Here's your challenge for this episode. I want you to take the code that we just made to print out or show the coin count on the screen, and I want you to turn this into its own separate function. If you remember back to the beginning of the series, I told you that we want to keep as little code as possible within our draw function. The simpler we keep that draw function, just the better organized our code is going to be, the easier it is to figure out what's going on. And if we do have problems, we can isolate it to different separate functions in the code. So we have 4 blocks to do one thing. We could replace that with one function block. So that's what we're going to try to do. So you're going to create a separate function to put all that code for showing the number of coins collected. And then you're going to add a call function block into the draw function to actually show this new function we make in our draw loop and show it in the game. Not as hard as it sounds. This might sound a little complicated, but you really won't have to do too much. The hard work, I think, is already done for you. So maybe look at how we use the move player function as an example for how to do this. Good luck as always, and I will see you next time.